Garage Inc., and followed it the next year with S&M, a live album recorded with the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra. Both sold respectably, but by this stage, it had been almost a decade since the band had released a truly great album.
So what else is happening with the band? Tell me about what's going on.
Just taking a break right now. We're going to be doing a video for a song for the Mission Impossible soundtrack.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, that's going to be coming out pretty soon, and after that we're going to take some more time off, and then hopefully get some stuff together, some songs together, and tour this July.
Oh, really? So you're actually going to go out on the road again?
Yeah, we're going to play a handful of dates scattered across the states, and then after that, going to take some more time off and then start writing, and hopefully we'll be in the studio by the end of the year. We'll see how that goes.
The final nail in the coffin seemed to come in 2001, when Lars Ulrich outraged literally millions of music fans by announcing that Metallica were suing a file-sharing program manufacturer called Napster.
Essentially, Lars stood out as a figurehead for Metallica. He was protecting their own back catalogue and their own revenue. I think people thought at the time, Lars, you're just trying to save yourself money. But it wasn't really about that. There was money involved. Lars was very, very open about that. He said, yes, we're saving ourselves. Napster are taking away a bit of money from us. But the bigger point here, which people failed to understand, and I think largely do still fail to understand, is that what he was talking about was artist rights. And the fact that if you're an artist and you create something, you should have control over that thing. It was about control, really. People didn't really understand that, and I think his reputation will never recover from the Napster fiasco.
By the end of 2001, Metallica were in trouble. The Napster case had cost them a lot of fans. Bassist Jason Newsted had left after 14 years, angry that James wouldn't let him play music with other bands.
I didn't want to step away from the thing. It wasn't like 100%, oh yeah, let's go, get out of here. It weren't like that. It's just something I had to make a decision as a man. What my line is. If somebody crosses that line, then I got to say stop, you know what I mean? That's what it came to.
It became clear that there were deep-seated issues in the band which needed solving, fast. Proof of this came when James entered rehab for alcoholism, effectively leaving the band for a year. When James returned, he was a new man. He learned that his family had to come before Metallica and that he didn't have to be James Hetfield, the rock star, all the time. With relationships much improved in the band, they turned towards the new album. Writing the songs as a collective for the first time, the band found a new aggression and purpose in the music.
It was a bit heavier and a bit faster than what had appeared before, certainly faster than anything that appeared in the 1990s. They'd rediscovered an element of what we call thrash metal. Lars was playing fast snare patterns once again, which hadn't done for a while. But this was true on a couple of songs. It wasn't the case throughout the album.
The original music's far more complex and stranger and much more original than the later records. They've become more of a rock band. In the 90s, they became more of a normal rock band. And St. Anger's an attempt to get out of that, The
most notable thing about St. Anger, and certainly the thing that most people pick up on when they don't like it, is the sound. What Lars did was detune the snares on the side of his snare drum, which means that instead of getting a normal snare sound, you get a kind of boom noise when you hit it, and this is prevalent throughout the album. Now, a lot of people hated this and thought, why have you done this? Why have you gone back to sort of basic garage values? And it all ties in with the fact that Metallica wanted to rediscover some of their early spirit, so it makes sense. Bob used old microphones. He didn't bother tuning James's vocals. You can hear James hit the odd wrong note vocally. And all in all, the album sounded deliberately unsophisticated. This divided the fan base. Some people admired the fact that it was a deliberate hark back. Other people, like me, really couldn't stand it.
St. Anger, I mean, I can't believe Bob Rock did such a great job producing the other albums. Saying it's like the worst production job I've ever heard on any album. It's just, God, what is it? Like, people are calling it, trash can drums. It's just really like you gotta be kidding me. And yeah, the album is faster and heavier and is an angry sounding album, but the songs just aren't that good,
And by and large, the album just didn't have that quality that Metallica had been so insistent on it in their previous records, even on records which were relatively unsuccessful, like Load and Reload. At least you had some melodies, you had some catchy stuff, you had some heavy stuff as well, you had all the Metallica elements. On St. Anger, really, everything sounded very average.
With St. Anger in the can, Metallica concentrated on finding a new bass player.
When Metallica auditioned Jason's replacement. Among the people they spoke to, there was Scott Reeder of the stoner rock Caius, who's an amazing player, but perhaps a little bit laid back and not technical enough for Metallica. There was Twiggy Ramirez, who had played with Marilyn Manson's band, a great player, but perhaps he didn't quite have the sort of ballsy energy that they required. And the man they ultimately recruited was Rob Trujillo, who had been in Suicidal Tendencies, and he had his own funk rock side project called Infectious Grooves. Now, what they were looking for in a bass player, I think, was someone who obviously was technically proficient enough to be able to handle it. And in fact, Lars said later of the other guys that he thought the songs were about 10% too difficult for their skills. But also someone who could push them. What James and Lars said about Rob when they recruited him was that he pushes us to achieve. Rob said himself that his ethos in life is to step up, always to take the next step. And when you watch the scene in Some Kind of Monster when Rob is playing his audition, he chose to play Battery, one of the toughest songs they do. You can see him standing there sort of nonchalantly knocking out this riff, while the other guys are sort of almost playing up to his standard, not the other way around.
Alan, good stuff? I could try Battery. Battery? You can play that fast with your fingers? Yeah! Battery!